Hi, my name is Joseph, and welcome to Men's Fellowship Adventures. We normally have been discussing the book of Genesis, the first three chapters, talking about how God created man. And really, everything that you have the power to do everything that you need to do, whatever you imagine, whatever you think about, you have the power to achieve it and make it manifest in your life by exercising your mind, your will, and your emotions. The problem always comes when you allow yourself to fall prey to the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, or the pride of life. And so during this time of Lent, which is a time for consecration, Lent is a time for praying and seeking God's face and fasting and finding direction for your life and giving of your time or your substance, or even your love to your fellow neighbor. Lent is a time to seek God's face and find direction. Now, God will show you the direction, but you got to make that step the step to go toward whatever it is that you thought or you decided that you wanted to do. But sometimes we can think about a direction, decide that we want this, see the images of us receiving and using or applying or doing those things. But then when we start taking those steps to go toward it, we start looking at your neighbor, your friend, your relative, and they're just carrying on as usual, watching TV, playing on their Xbox, and looking at whatever apps that are available. And they seem to be enjoying themselves, but when you look at yourself, you're laboring, you're working hard trying to please God, spending quality time with him, praying and seeking his face. But it doesn't seem sometimes like anything is happening. Well, I just want to say the Bible talks about um, let us not be weary in well doing, for at the appropriate time or in due season we will reap the harvest if we faint not. And it's hard to do for some people sometimes because they're looking everywhere else. And so if you understand the scriptures in Mark chapter 4, the people, the seeds are sown, which is your word. You're sowing a word of faith when you see the thought, you decide on whatever it is you want. You create the imagination. You put your emotions and your willpower, to make this happen, and you're taking steps to get there. But then you start looking, and if you look at everyone else, then you start wondering why. Like I had a job with my uncle, and it was grueling, like close to close to 18 hours a day. We would drive to a certain location, do the job, wait around, do it some more, and then head back home. And by the time you get home, it was time to go to sleep and wake up again. Now, I was getting weary doing that because everyone else was just starting to have fun when it was time for me to go. And I got mad a few times. I did. But as the scripture says, be not weary in well doing, for in due season you shall reap the harvest if you faint not. And so I started to faint. I did. Because I started looking around instead of keeping my eyes focused on God and what I was doing for him. I was looking at everybody else, and I started developing certain kinds of emotions of hatred and jealousy, and all of those things just killed all the imaginations that I had in my heart. So when God gave you the ability to manifest what you need, you have to keep the devil out. And basically, the devil comes at you, and by your lust. If you're lusting for something to please your body, or you're lusting after the things that you see, or because you got too much pride, It's gonna cancel out all of those dreams, hopes, and aspirations that you have. So you gotta find out which one of those are your enemy, where your most where your biggest temptations come from. And one by one, if you got all three, one by one, you find the scripture and you decide that you're going to put that under your feet so that you can please the Lord. And that's what this fasting and praying is about, so that you can get right with God again, so that you can get on that path of righteousness, so that um, you can be of help. I mean, your prayer when you wake up is supposed to be, Lord, use me. And if you're praying, Lord, use me, you also got to pray, Lord, get these things, inequities out of me so that I can be that vessel that you want to use. And there's a scripture that talks about it. Work as if you're working unto the Lord, because if you're working for God, He's going to pay you better than any employer that you ever had. And as you continue to take a step in encouraging yourself, if you feel like you're weak and weary because of taking your focus off of things, like Peter did when he was walking on the water, but then he looked at the waves and he started to sink. You can't look at what everybody else is doing. Eagles fly alone. If you're an eagle, you're gonna fly by yourself. And believe me, you ever see National G and you watch the eagles land? Everybody get out the way. The eagles fly alone, and you can't worry about what everybody else is doing, because if you do, it's easy to give up and quit because you're comparing yourself and what you're doing to them. And there's no comparison when you're with God versus hanging out with the devil. I mean, it's just good or evil. I encourage you to rise up in your faith and keep making a step after step, going toward those thoughts and imaginations that you created to help you live uh, your best life. I see you tomorrow. Thank you for joining in. God bless you.